Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm in a vest because it is roasting hot, heat wave at the minute. And I'm in a bathroom. I'm in a good friend of mine, it's his house, his bathroom. And we've got a few issues here. I'm going to turn the camera around, I'll show you around what we're doing and why. So this is the bath which you can see. When he bought the place, this shower screen had been installed right here on the edge of the bath. First top tip. Never do this, because what happens is all the water pours in and collects. This shower screen should be installed at least 40mm from the edge of the bath, so that the shower screen is sitting in the middle or even on the inside lip of this. Also, another thing, the bath, and you can change the feet a little bit, but once it's siliconed in, it's a bit harder to do. There is a slight slope on this bath going down that way, and obviously all the water's going out there, so that's not helpful. And then also we do have a little bit of a leak in some of these pipes just under here, just a little bit, just up in there on the fitting onto the bath. There's a little leak, and so what was happening was it was all running down here, and this was just soil, this was rotten. So we've got quite a big job. It's only going to take us a couple of days, but it's a fairly big task, and it's going to be quite a good one as well. So there's going to be lots for you to learn here. We're going to be taking out all of these floor tiles. We're going to be tanking the floor, and then we're going to be retiling it, and then we'll reinstate the bath, sink and the toilet. So first part of the job is to clear out the bath, the sink and the toilet so we can get access to the space. Then we'll be cutting out all the tiles, chipping them out, shoving them in rubble bags. And then we're going to be tanking the floor, and that's going to be quite an interesting process, and I'll show you how to do that. First things first, turn off the water. We're only doing it locally because there's stuff going on in the rest of the house, but by turning that off we shouldn't have any leaks. And then what we'll do is we'll run the tap and just drain the last of it out. Open the taps, the last of the hot's coming out there, little dribble, that's all done. Toilet's being flushed. So we are good to start ripping these out and cracking on with getting the tiles up. The wall tiles are staying in place, so we're leaving those. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to tile all the way up to the wall this time. We're going to push it right the way up, and we may even put a little bit up along the corners there just so we can tank the corner. Just taking the screws out of this to release the shower screen. And as I undid this screw, all of this shampoo water started coming out. And the reason that's happened is because when this was fitted, this screen was siliconed and corked inside here, which then actually traps the water in it, hence all the rust and everything else. So just a top tip, you never silicone the inside of a shower screen because you want any water that's in there to be able to run free. You can silicone the outside of it, but you never silicone the inside. Just a heads up. Right, so we managed to get the screen off here, as you can see. They had siliconed it to the wall as well, so we had to slowly prise behind it and cut down the back of it using that to take it off. Just taking the sink out there now, but I wanted to show you here, you can actually see where they've stopped the tiles at the point where the bath is, and then they've just tried to bridge that gap with silicone, which is not really the best way of doing things in my opinion, because water will always find a way. The slightest gap, the slightest hole, it will always find a way out and find a way through. So if we were doing this from scratch, which we're not, we would tile all the way down to the floor. We'd tile the floor first, then we'd tile the walls down onto the top of that, having tanked the walls and tanked the floor. As this is kind of a bit remedial work, what we're going to do is we're going to raise the level of the bath up so that it sits on top of this lip ever so slightly. So the whole thing's going to come up, and that way we don't have the same issue. And we're going to try and get some tanking material behind here up against this wall as high up as we can to try and stop this from happening again. So we've got the toilet out, and now I'm just going to be chipping away at this and clearing that off. Greg's here, got the multi-cutter. They grouted and siliconed the bath in, so it's super solid and stuck in there. There was a little clip underneath which we've detached, but the whole of this depth pretty much is packed with silicone and grout, so it's pretty sturdily on there. So got the multi-cutter with the carbide bit, and all we're going to do is run along with the hoover straight away take all of that out the whole way along, and then we can detach the bath. We've taken the pipes out, we've disconnected everything, decommissioned it. So once we've cleared that out, we can then start lifting the tiles and then get back to making good. Okay, we have taken the bath out finally. You see what I mean by how much grout and silicone there was holding that in place. So we'll clear all of that off. That's easily done. And then it was fixed. It was fixed on there, so we were able to unscrew this one, but this back corner one we couldn't because of the pipes, so we just cut it off, because as I mentioned, we're going to be sitting the bath up here. The new bath height will be there. But this gives you a really good idea of what we're going to be doing and how we're going to achieve it. We're going to take out the tiles all the way around. We're then going to take off this old skin of ply, and we're also going to lift up these floorboards. Potentially, depending on how much thickness we have, we're going to lift these up and we're going to put ply in between the joists which are running this way. So there's a joist here, joist here. We will fill this gap with a new skin of ply, and then over the top of this, over the top of that, we will put the backer board, and then the tiles will go on that. I'll show you what I mean as we do it, but for now, we're going to get all these tiles up and then assess where we are. So the tiles are up. It only took 20 minutes or so, so that was nice and quick. We've swept and hoovered, and now we're just going to start trying to lift some of this ply, but I think he's glued it down as well, because there are no other fixings on that I can see, but it's got a bit more stick to it, so I don't know, he may have stuck it down, he may not. Either way, floorboards are going to be coming up too. You can see where some of them chipped and broken, and we're going to be laying the ply flush and level with the top of the joists there, if we have enough clearance. I think we do have enough clearance in the main, but we're going to assess that when we get the rest of the flooring up. Just going to have a bacon sarnie, and then we will be back on it. So we used mini crowbar and the claw hammer, and we have cleared all of the plywood that was down. You can see where some of the floorboards were broken. See the old laminate vinyl tile that's down. So we're going to clear all of this now, all of this floorboard. But I just want to show you, you can see this is the reason why we're doing this. Because downstairs in the living room below, you could see brown marks on the paint and the plaster, and you could see actual water coming through in the end as well. And this is what I was saying about some of it literally just turning to soil where the wood has rotted away. So all of that's punky and rotten, and it had travelled all under the tile under here as well. So all of this is getting taken out and replaced, and it's going to get fully tanked and lined on the base, and then we're going to come up the walls a little bit the whole way around up under where the bath is. We can't replace these because we haven't got any matching wall tiles, but certainly back here we're going to put a strip of tile and some wall adhesive. And what we've got actually, not wall adhesive, but tile. We've got tile backer, and then we also have these, which are internal corners. These are the internal corners that you put in with the tile backer, and you put an adhesive paint on, and it helps completely seal it and tank it. So we've got a whole load of those, which are really good. And then the tile backer. So we're going to strip the floorboards now, and then we'll start measuring and cutting the ply to go in between the floor joists, and we'll support them properly. Yeah, and I'll show you what it looks like after. Hello, right. I've just got a few more boards left, 2.5, to take out across this length, and then we are free and clear. It's taken a little bit longer than anticipated. I've got the lamp on, I've got my torch on because that bulb doesn't work, and it's so dark outside now. We've been having a heat wave, and it's just started pouring with rain, so it's dark as out there, which is fine by me because it's got a breeze coming in. Anyway, these walls, that's the next joist from here. So classic Victorian house, they will have built this entire floor all the way through the whole house, and then they will have put the walls up on top of that. So the wall and the joist does not necessarily line up. In this instance, you can see it definitely doesn't line up, but the floorboard runs straight through all the way through into the next room. So what we've had to do is just cut it off at that point there, and then we're going to make some noggins that are going to reach through flat flush with this all the way back to that joist. I've got the Hikoki nail gun with me so I can secure those in without any problems. We've dodged all the pipes, we didn't cut any, which is good. And what we're going to do is we've changed the plan slightly. We were originally going to put the plywood level with this and have it supported with some strips of wood here, but we're not going to do that now. Instead we're going to put noggins across, 2x4 noggins, and we're going to sit the ply straight on top because we've got to make up a little bit of the height difference. You can see here how much difference, there's 3 fingers worth of depth there between the joist and here, so we don't need to, we don't want to lose too much by having the ply flush with the joist. So we're going to have the ply sitting on the joist, then we'll have the backer board, then we'll have the tiles, and that will take us almost bang up to this tile level here, which is really, really good. So this floorboard here is obviously a bit manky, that's all coming out, and then once I've lifted it I'm going to be able to check this joist to see whether there's any kind of permanent damage or whether it's just something that we chop out a little bit of the old stuff and put in a bit of new 2x4 or something. We'll see. There's a lot going on here. We've got cables, we've got an extraction vent, we've got trunking, we've got copper hot and cold, and we've got 40mm waste pipe. So there is a lot going on here. So as little as I can get away with cutting out, the better. Not because I'm trying to do a shoddy job, but because the risk of damaging something increases the more you're cutting out here. And also, wood doesn't rot or doesn't continue to rot if you take away the fuel, in the same way that wood won't burn if you take away the flame. So if it's moist and dark and damp and warm, then yes, it will rot. But if it's dry and you chop out the rot, that's it. It won't start rotting again itself. And we do have this joist here, this beam which runs across. So if we miss out on a bit here, it's not the end of the world, because we can put a 2x4 straight across from here to here, and we've also got this beam there. So hopefully we won't have to mess around with it too much. But I'm going to take this out and have a look, and then I will let you know what we're doing. Right, it's still the same day, but look how much brighter it is now that that storm cloud's gone over. So we're fully clear here now. And what I decided to do on this bit is to chop out the little section of wood that is, or was, quite rotten. That's now solid and dry and firm all the way down. We'll fill that with a bit of 2x4, level it between there and there. This is all solid and dry, that's fine. And then we'll be fine. There'll be no issues with that at all. Got the nail gun out, and what we're going to be doing is putting some nogs in just across here to start, to show you what we're up to. And then after that I'll just crack on and nog out the rest of it. First, what I am going to do is I'm going to sweep in between all these things, because if ever anybody needs to do any work below, it's horrible getting showered with dust and dirt because people couldn't be bothered to sweep it out. So I'm going to give it a quick sweep out. It'll only take a minute, hoover it up, and then I can put the noggins in. So you can see it's nice and clean-ish up through there. Just going to hoover that little bit. And you can see I've been adding these noggins. I know typically you would put them vertical rather than horizontal. The reason I've done it that way is just to provide a bit more width support across them. I'm going to add probably one additional one here, and there's going to be another one down there, because this is a bit more of a high traffic area. There's going to be the sink there and the toilet there, so it's nice to have a bit more support up at this point and that point there. And the other reason for doing them this way is that on this side, when I do it, they can actually, the pipes, I don't have to disturb the pipes too much, so it's just a little bit more uniform and consistent that way. Also bear in mind that we're going to be putting plywood on top of this whole thing, so the plywood bearing the weight, or spreading the weight, plus these noggins which take my weight perfectly well, it's not going anywhere, so it's nice and secure. So Greg's cutting the noggins, I'm sitting them in. This is doing a fine job. They're perfectly strong enough to take my weight. We're not quite done with the job, but we are done for the day. So this is almost what it's going to look like afterwards. Nice and flat and secure. We'll screw it all down obviously, but for now we're just laying it down like this. There's a bit more space in the house, and so we can clear all of our tools from there, put them in here, and it can be a semi-normal evening for the family, except they don't have a bathroom obviously. So yeah, I will stop the video here and we will then pick this up in part 2.